This is CBC Here and Now.
I'm here in Mainland on the Port-au-Port Peninsula where people are reacting to a new court order that prevents a blockade leading to a wind power test site. That story's coming up.
A verdict for high school teacher Krista Grimes, accused of having sex with her underage student. That story coming up.
And in other news, it is a big night for residents of CBS. The town is celebrating 50 years with a kickoff event for Winterfest. Our Amanda Gear will have the lowdown on festivities there. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Heather Gillis. We begin tonight with breaking news from Memorial University, where a tentative agreement has been reached in the faculty strike. Here and Now's Terry Roberts has been following the story and has the latest from MUN's campus. What's happening, Terry?
Yeah, Heather, well, I'm here at the Bruno Center. We just scurried over here because just a minute. Yeah, Heather, sorry about that. We're here at the Bruno Center here at the Memorial University campus. We scurried over here after receiving word just minutes ago that there has been a tentative deal now in this 2-week standoff between the Faculty Association and the administration here. So in a news release we just received, Provost Neil Bowes said there's been a generous package of improvements to support our valued faculty colleagues, and he said this deal will also preserve the long-term viability of Memorial University. So this was a bit of a surprise here right now, and what we do have to come yet is still ratification. So Memorial's Board of Regents, they have to endorse this deal, and also MUNFA and its 850 members will also have to support this. So again, this came after a very loud day here on campus where hundreds of MUNFA members and their supporters rallied today at the noon hour. Just take a look.
They arrived in force following a march along Elizabeth Avenue, congregating in the shadow of Memorial's Arts and Admin building. After 2 weeks on the picket line, union members accustomed to February's chill, warmed by their collective solidarity.
Who will win? Who wants a fair deal?
With music as a backdrop to a rally aimed at putting pressure on those in charge.
Do you hear the people singing of solidarity? It is the music of the people who demand more clarity.
Intent on sending a loud message to university leaders hunkered down behind these walls. More than 800 MUNFA members have been off the job since January 30th, at odds with their administration over issues like collegial governance and job security, with most classes paused by a labor disruption for the first time in more than 2 decades. Their ranks bolstered by faculty leaders from universities across Canada.
Queen's University Faculty Association is behind you 100%.
And with student groups firmly in lockstep with MUNFA.
The resignation of the president, the majority of the VPs, and the majority of the Board of Regents would be a start, but it would not address the glaring systemic crisis facing our institution.
Do we want immediate amnesty to the students? Woo! Should they return your tuition? Yes!
I'm calling from the bargaining table.
One of MUNFA's lead negotiators joined the rally by telephone. No word on the status of talks, but a reminder of what's at stake.
Stories about the damaging impacts of long-term precarity, stories about increasing workloads and shrinking academic units. And those are some of the reasons why we're still out here.
Memorial's brass have stayed out of the spotlight in recent days, but MUNFA members have turned up the volume.
We're running a fun strike and we're running a clean strike. It's too bad we can't say that for the other side.
They're cold, they say, but vow they are waging a fight they will win.
We're not going to leave any of our members behind. We're not going to let our students down. We're here to fight right till the end.
So mentioned earlier there that Memorial's brass have stayed out of the spotlight. Well, that's about to change. I'm here at a boardroom at the Bruno Center, where behind me we're going to hear shortly from Memorial's president, Vianne Timmins, and Memorial's provost, Neil Bowes. And we'll have more information. The latest, you can check out our website for more. That's at cbc.ca/NL. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Terry Roberts in St. John's.
Thanks, Terry. Now to the Port-au-Port Peninsula. Residents in Mainland say they will fight a court order preventing their blockade. World Energy GH2 was granted an injunction in Supreme Court in Corner Brook today. Here and Now's Troy Turner has the latest from mainland.
On the surface, mainland is like many other quiet, picturesque Newfoundland communities. But beyond the crashing waves, there's a storm brewing on a road leading to a wind power test site. That's where protesters have been camped out for a month and blocking all work in the area. Now, a court order has been granted to allow that work to continue.
Well, I guess they're going to take me to jail because I'm not going to give up this fight. This group of people behind me are not giving up this fight.
In an affidavit, World Energy GH2 says delays caused by the blockade have stopped construction at a critical time. The company says that wind measurement data is vital to determine what type of wind turbine generators it needs for the project, as demand for those generators increases globally.
To try to put a point out there that we don't want the windmills on the Port-au-Port Peninsula. We don't know where else to go.
To be honest, I've had a visceral reaction to it. They tend to go through bureaucratic channels, kind of behind the scenes, in a way that negates the power of the people to actually have their voices heard.
Timothy Collier owns a greenhouse business in mainland. He plans to settle back in his hometown after he completes medical training. Collier says using force to settle this dispute is a bad idea.
I think it'll obliterate what little support that they have left on the peninsula. Not only their detractors, but also their supporters. I think it'll put a very sour taste in their mouth.
The protesters here on the Port-au-Port Peninsula say they will continue with the blockade leading to the wind power test site, and they will fight this court order when given a chance. Troy Turner, CBC News, mainland.
Now, moving from Supreme Court on the West Coast to Provincial Court on the Avalon Peninsula. A St. John's teacher was found not guilty this afternoon in a sexual exploitation case that accused her of having sex with one of her students. Here and Now's Malone Mullen has the story.
Krista Grimes may have arrived at Supreme Court quiet and reserved, but she left it in tears. An emotional display as the bench declared her not guilty of a sexual exploitation charge that's haunted her since 2019. Grimes was a substitute teacher at a St. John's high school. Officials launched an investigation after a student sent a letter to the school calling Grimes a pedophile and accusing her of having sex with underage students. One boy later came forward and alleged the two had sex in his car. He said it happened weeks after exchanging sexual messages and explicit photos on a popular app called Snapchat. But that's not a story Justice Vikas Kaladkar says he could accept. The judge says a series of serious and significant inconsistencies prevented him from taking the complainant at his word. Kaladkar pointed out how the young man gave different answers to police and the court several times, including about where the alleged encounter took place, the time of year it happened, and what sexual positions the two had used. Anytime a witness is careless with the truth, the judge said, it affects his credibility. After Kaladkar delivered his verdict, Grimes embraced family members, dodging reporters as she left the courtroom. It's not clear yet whether she'll return to teaching, with the school district only saying it would review the case and had no further comment. This ends a 4-year ordeal for the substitute teacher who walked free out of the courtroom today, her name officially cleared. Malone Mullen, CBC News, St. John's.
I'll take a live look outside. Snow has started here in St. John's. Anyway, I know it doesn't look like it, but the airport is reporting that snow -7 right now. That wind chill feeling more like -15. Now we're going to see some gusty winds as we head through the evening hours tonight, especially for the Avalon. But we've got lots of snow across the board. It's working its way north, and this will pretty much be the story as we head through the night tonight as this area of low pressure moves through. This warm front, though, is going to bring some mixing and eventually some rain as we get into the early morning, but we do still have lots of cold air up across Labrador. There's those snowfall warnings. They have been extended since last night, and then a wreck house wind warning, but there's that cold warning up across Lab West. You're looking at your wind chills this evening into the -40s. We'll get into all of the details coming up.
And for those keeping their eye on the price of fuel in the winter cold, the Public Utilities Board has dropped the price of some fuels again overnight in an unscheduled change. Diesel has dipped by another 11.6 cents per litre after dropping more than 6 cents yesterday. Customers are now paying $2.11 a litre on the Avalon. Furnace oil also dropped another 10 cents a litre today. It had already decreased by more than 5 cents yesterday. And in Labrador West and Churchill Falls, stove heating oil dropped by more than 14 cents a litre. And the province has announced that a contract has been awarded for a pre-feasibility study on the construction of a road to northern Labrador. All North Consultants Limited will complete the study and report back to government later this year. An assistant professor for the Geography and Planning Department at Queen's University recently spoke with Here and Now's Amanda Gear about the potential routes for the road, the costs, and the socio-economic impacts.
It's something that people in quite a number of communities have been asking for a long time. Not saying that they're saying there necessarily needs to be a road, but that there is a need for studying and determining kind of the benefits of a potential road and to see a pathway for which maybe it could happen if it ends up being viewed by the communities as being an important thing for them. The road in general will get more challenging to construct the farther north you go. And, you know, it will then become more costly to construct the farther north you go. And so, you know, if the community of Nain, for instance, if they end up deciding that they don't necessarily want the road there, obviously these improvements that are going on with the potential construction of a new airstrip will be a welcome change there. It'll introduce its own challenges, but it will improve the transportation infrastructure there. I think the ferry system at this point in time is not sufficient for the needs of the population. The ferry itself servicing the north coast of Labrador is too slow, if we're going to be honest. So it means that, you know, traveling to and from Goose Bay up and down the coast takes too long. I'd be very curious to see, and I think a lot of people would be very curious to see how this RFP study treats alternatives and whether they come up with ideas, you know, that aren't oriented completely around a road to every location, or whether there's they look at alternatives to doing the road and what other types of transportation infrastructure could be put in place. I think it's important to kind of keep your options open in terms of discussing the various ways we can, you know, best serve people in northern Labrador. And the road is definitely an option that some communities may push and really want to see. And so, you know, we have to be cognizant of that as well.
To sports now. For the first time in nearly a decade, Memorial University is hosting the Atlantic University Swimming Championships. That's this weekend. The best varsity swimmers have taken over the pool at the Aqua Arena in St. John's with hopes of standing on top of the podium and qualifying for nationals. MUN has more than 30 swimmers taking part, some of whom want to be leaving that pool with hardware around their necks.
We're here competing for the 2023 AUS Championship. It's pretty cool.
2014 was the last time we hosted. Newfoundland hosts less often for sure, as it is, but then COVID threw an extra little rotation in there. We had to reschedule things for COVID.
It's actually kind of crazy. Like, I remember walking in and like looking at everyone in our pool yesterday because we had like a mini training session, and I look over and it's just completely different swimmers I've like never seen in this pool. It was like the weirdest feeling ever.
I think some people, it's different, but I definitely like being home. Being in a hotel, it does put you more in a mindset of like all racing, no school or anything, and being at home can kind of be distracting, but it's by person, I guess.
We were at Halifax for another swim meet earlier this year. Usually like going back and forth and like having to scavenge for food is like way harder, but now I just get to go home and there's like already food made and I don't really have to worry about any of that.
It's really exciting for us. Our team gets to be at home and have their family support them. We have tons of kids from the swimming community are coming out to watch, all of our own officials. It's really exciting.
I've already gotten the best time in my 50 breaststroke, so that's all a girl can really ask for, but hoping to get youth sports tonight, so it's a time cut. So hopefully maybe medal as well, but we'll see.
50 breast was like kind of tough, but then like 2 IM was a little bit better. I think tonight it'll be even better, but like first day of the meet, you're just trying to figure stuff out.
We're hoping for medals tonight. We have 4 or 5 swimmers who are trying to get on the podium tonight, in some of them in 2 events each. So we're looking for those medals.
Winterfest kicks off tonight in Conception Bay South, and the town is celebrating a big milestone. I'm Amanda Gear, and I'll have all the details after the break.
At least it's looking more wintry than it has. We've got lots more on the way as the snow moves in tonight. Get into the details coming up.
A 26-kilometer round trip to go to the north side to visit a doctor, to buy groceries. Financially, at time delays is devastating for the residents of Marystown.
No more cars on the Canning Bridge. Marystown is divided. Ahead on Here and Now, what the Premier is promising.
This weather forecast has been brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. Whatever you're up for this winter, discover experience packages at winterupnl.ca.
Welcome back to the show. And Ashley, it feels like we're really in the February freeze now in some parts of the province.
Yes, we absolutely are, but we're actually in for a warm-up as we head through.
Oh, good.
For the night tonight anyway, across the Avalon. Let's take a look at where we are sitting as our daytime highs today, around -7 for St. John's this afternoon, -8 in Bonavista, and we've got those temperatures as we head up across Labrador into the minus teens as well through the day. Now, as we head into the night tonight, those wind chill values, well, they're going to start to get pretty cold. Right now, they are in and around the -13-degree range, at least for the Avalon as you head towards central, about -17 at the moment. And as we look up to Labrador, those wind chills right now are into the -30s, especially for Makkovik and Nain. But as we head through the night tonight, we do have a extreme cold warning in place for Lab West, Churchill Falls, and the Valley, and those wind chill values are going to continue to drop as we head through the overnight. So generally into the -30s until we get into the first half of tomorrow morning. Start to dip temperatures around -45, wind chill values, I should say, around -45 for Lab West. Otherwise, we're looking at those wind chills into the -20s and -30s as you head towards the coast. Taking a look at what's happening right now, a bit of a mess across the Atlantic, or at least the Maritime provinces, but that snow now starting to work its way north and east across the island, and we can see that very clearly on the satellite right now. It looks like some heavier snow towards the west, and then some lighter snow, although this will increase in intensity as we head through the night tonight, and definitely showing up very well on the future tracker. We're also going to see some gusty winds with this as well. But as that warm front starts to move in, areas along the south coast, particularly the Burin Peninsula and the Avalon, in and around 8 or 9 o'clock tonight, should start to see that mixing with ice pellets and then maybe even a little bit of freezing rain. And that warm front will pretty much head across the Burin Peninsula and eventually the Avalon as we head into the midnight hour. So we're looking at that snow changing over to some ice pellets and then eventually rain after midnight, and that will move through fairly quickly. It'll all pretty much be said and done by early tomorrow morning, but again, we're looking at some gusty winds with this. So winds between 70 to as much as 80 or even 90 kilometers per hour in some of those exposed areas, particularly in the east. Otherwise, those winds will be gusting between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour, and then that will move through. Now, as far as snowfall amounts go, it does look like we'll see the majority of that snow still in that area from the Port aux Basques area through central, the interior, and then through Gander. Now, on either side of this will just be the snow that falls from tonight into tomorrow morning, but we could be talking between 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. And then for the Avalon, before we see that changeover, a quick 5 to 10 centimeters. But as we head through tomorrow, we'll see a little bit more in the way of accumulation as well. Temperatures also going to rise, hence that change over to rain. It's about 4 or 5 degrees overnight tonight for the east. As you head towards central, much cooler. Into the minus single digits, and then again your cool temperatures up across the big land. Now into tomorrow, we're going to hang on to these cold temperatures. They're actually going to drop through the day, so it'll likely get very slippery, but we'll see some snow in behind that. We could pick up with some of this colder air a little bit of accumulation as well, maybe another 2 to 5 centimeters possible for the west coast, and then even the Avalon we could pick up some of that accumulation as well. But across Labrador, you're looking at a pretty nice day and even into the evening hours, and that will continue pretty much as we head into Sunday. Now, taking a look at the temperatures tomorrow, these will be your daytime highs in the morning, and again they will drop, especially for the east with those winds as they shift to northwesterlies between 40 and 60 kilometers per hour. Otherwise, minus single digits except for the northern peninsula. A bit of gusty wind for you as well, so you'll see some blowing snow through the day, about minus 15 for St. Anthony. The rest of the big land, you're looking at a pretty nice day other than some flurries. Isolated in nature, but into the minus teens. Let's look at your Saturday. We'll look ahead to the weekend, the rest of the weekend coming up.
And now the town of CBS is gearing up for its Winterfest, the annual winter celebration. It includes activities in the town for the next 10 days, and it's a milestone year, marking a 50th anniversary. Back in 1973, 9 communities along the coast of Conception Bay South amalgamated. Here and Now's Amanda Gear is live tonight from CBS for the kickoff for this year's Winterfest. So Amanda, what's happening there?
Heather, there's something here for everyone. We've got Wonderbolt Circus getting all fired up with their new show. We have glow sticks, we have a photo booth, and of course we have fire pits to warm up with. To learn more about Winterfest, we're here with Mayor Darren Bent to see what it's all about. Hi, Mayor Bent, thanks for being with me tonight.
How you doing this evening?
Good.
We couldn't have a better night to start off our Winterfest, I can tell you.
We want to know more about Winterfest. Tell us about some of the events going on over the next 10 days.
Well, starting tonight with the Wonderbolt Circus and their Fire It Up show, which is just perfect for the cold temperatures here this evening. Over the next 10 days, we've actually incorporated our 50th anniversary into Winterfest, and we have 50 events going on the next 10 days right here in the town of Conception Bay South. You know, we've got everything from story times at our new library, senior socials, events at our seniors' residences throughout the town. We have a fantastic pancake and bologna breakfast, free for all residents tomorrow morning, right here at the CBS Arena. Just some wonderful events for everybody. There's a outdoor snow trek, family fun day, snowshoeing, sliding, all kinds of wonderful events.
Can you tell me why this year is so important to you and your community?
Well, 50 years. You know, the 9 communities along Conception Bay came together 50 years ago this year to form Conception Bay South and work together for the betterment of all the residents. And we're 50 years strong this year, and we're making a big deal of it. We're going to have events throughout the year. We've had some planned now. The snowbirds are coming in June to help us celebrate, and we've got some wonderful events planned. But, you know, kicking it off here tonight, it's just fantastic. It's great to see the young people, the families coming out, hundreds of people here this evening. It's just fantastic.
And what event are you most looking forward to, Mayor Bent?
You know, I like the senior socials. They have a great time. We have entertainment, and there's a lunch, and then there's a dance afterwards. They're always great, and I encourage all of our seniors to come out and take part in those. But, you know, the outdoor events in Winterfest are great. That's what I like the most, and being here tonight, you know, there's nothing like being outdoors and having fun in the wintertime and being able to do it with great conditions like this. It's a bit cold, but it's winter. It's Winterfest.
Thank you, Mr. Bent.
No worries.
It was good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
Sounds like a full schedule for the next 10 days. Live for Here and Now, I'm Amanda Gear in Conception Bay South.
To Marystown now, where a major bridge in the community is closed. The Department of Transportation and Infrastructure says the Canning Bridge, which links the north and south side of the town together, is unsafe for traffic. Marystown Mayor Brian Keating joins us now to tell us a little bit more about it. Thanks for joining us, Mayor Keating.
Thank you very much for having us.
What can you tell us about the closure of this bridge?
Well, in the last 24 hours, a lot of developments has happened. Our bridge got deemed unsafe for traffic, and right now the bridge is only permitted for pedestrian walk across only. The provincial government had a analysis done on it and investigation on the structural integrity of the bridge, and they came back with a third-party analysis, and their own independent engineering came back and said the bridge is unsafe. So as of 10 o'clock this morning, the PJ Canning Bridge that links the south side of Marystown to the north side is deemed unsafe for vehicle transportation.
And what kind of impact does that have on your community?
It's devastating. Right now alone, the financial devastation for over 25% of the population live on the south side of Marystown. And of course, everybody know in the region and area on the Bjorn Peninsula that all the grocery stores, doctor's office, shopping malls, clothing stores, local restaurants are located on the north side. For the residents, impact is actually 13 kilometers one way, so a 26-kilometer round trip to go to the north side to visit the doctor, to buy groceries. So financially and time delays is devastating for the residents of Marystown, both north side and south side, of course.
Mm-hmm. And tell me what it means for your town, for operations and for first responders.
We're working with first responders now and coming up with a strategy on make sure the residents of Marystown are protected, and the safety is priority one for the council and the town of Marystown to make sure that fire safety and all first responder safety for the residents in our area is first on our list. Of course, you know, it's first day, we're really only got 100% confirmation at 10 o'clock this morning. So there's lots of strategy to do. There's lots of procedures and policies to put in place, but I will guarantee the disclosure and information highway will be open to all the residents of Marystown and the Bjorn Peninsula as soon as we get it.
And what can you tell me about a call that you had with provincial officials earlier today? What happened there?
Well, like I said, it's developing on a minute basis. I've been here technically all night and all day getting resolutions and looking for solutions. But the best news I've heard is that our premier has guaranteed the residents and the town and myself personally that the bridge, the Canning Bridge in Marystown, will be 100% replaced. It was great news. MHA Paul Pike and our MHA Jeff DeWire and everybody seems to be on the bandwagon. Of course, Minister Lovelace has guaranteed. All the ministers are on board on both sides of the House, we'll say, but our premier reached out and gave us 100% guarantee, and I can announce this, that we are going to get a new bridge in Marystown.
Mm-hmm. And did you get a timeline on how long it may take to have that bridge replaced, Mayor?
It's over a 300-foot roughly span bridge, so it's not something that you can pull off the closet and put there. So it's going to be a timely procedure. It's going to take some engineering, some planning, and so they never give us a timeline. They just guaranteed that the bridge would be replaced, which is a breath of fresh air for myself and all the councillors and the residents of Marystown.
Okay, well, Mayor Keating, thank you so much for your time and explaining what had happened here today.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to say in closing before you go, thank you to all the residents of Marystown and Bjorn Peninsula for understanding and your patience.
And the Premier is also assuring the Mayor of Trepassey that her town will not lose its ambulance services. This after the private ambulance service in the area, Fewers, says it will pull the last ambulance from the community in July. Mayor Rita Pennell calls it good news that an ambulance will remain, considering the town doesn't have a doctor.
He himself called me on Sunday evening, January the 29th, and he assured me that the people of Trepassey would have ambulance service when the private operator hauled out in July. And that made the people very happy, and made them sleep better at night to know that they're going to be taken care of. They were worried about like no care. If something happened to them, they had no one to call. And if you called an ambulance, you probably had to wait a couple of hours to get an ambulance. I mean, this is a life and death situation. We're the furthest from a hospital on the island. So, you know, it was a great phone call, I have to say, and I thank him very much. Because we don't have no doctor since last June. We're hoping, we have a meeting with Eastern Health on the 23rd. We're hoping for some good news there because we have a doctor who wants to come here. So I don't know what news we're going to get at that time. But right now, we just have a nurse practitioner 2 days a week. And like our ambulance, only one ambulance. And when she's gone, we're in red alert. And that's just about every day. Like we need our doctor. We have a doctor that have a home here, pays taxes here, and they won't give her the job. They wants to put her address as Holy Road, and she have a home in Trepassey because they don't want to pay the retention because we're so far from better service. Trepassey, they would have to pay a retention bonus, which is $7,500. What is $7,500 to keep a doctor in a small town like Trepassey and surrounding areas? And we're mostly seniors. And I mean, without ambulance service and doctor service and that, you know, the people were very, very upset. And a lot of them couldn't sleep at night. When you get a word like that from the Premier, you have to be very thankful. And our people are very happy that he made the phone call and offered to make sure that we had ambulance service once our ambulance left.
Well, today is the 25th anniversary of the re-release of James Cameron's blockbuster Titanic. Just ahead, some new footage of the century-old shipwreck. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Here Now. We're going to check in with Terry Roberts, who is at Memorial University in St. John's, where the Faculty Association and administration have reached a tentative deal. Terry, there was just a news conference. Can you get us up to speed?
Yeah, Heather, well, we just emerged from that news conference with Memorial's president, Vianne Timmons, and with the interim provost, Neil Bowes. Now, I guess there's two most important things we can take away from that. Number one is that the president tells us it's very likely now that thousands of students will be able to return to normal classes sometime next week. And secondly, we're being told that they should be able to save the semester based, in keeping with the current calendar. So that's the two big things here. We don't know much about the details of the agreement yet because there's still a lot that has to happen. So they're keeping those details secret right now because there's a ratification process that has to happen. So early next week, we're being told that the Board of Regents is going to meet and they're going to likely sign off on this deal. And also, sometime next week, early next week, the roughly 850 members of the Memorial University Faculty Association, well, they're going to vote on this. Their negotiating team is obviously recommending they accept it, so we'll see how that pans out. There's also a return to work protocol that has to be worked out. So again, a lot of things that has to be ironed out here. So it looks as though for with this 2-week labor dispute we've had here at Memorial University, the first labor dispute in more than 2 decades has come to an end. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Terry Roberts.
Even after 110 years, there's still plenty to discover about the Titanic. And that's according to a company that dives down to the famous shipwreck. OceanGate sets out from Conception Bay. People can purchase a ticket for a spot on their team, but it doesn't come cheap. The head of OceanGate swung by our CBC studios today to talk about the ongoing exploration and share some incredible new footage.
So OceanGate Expeditions takes lay people and researchers to explore the ocean, our biggest thing being the Titanic.
We're now looking into the well where the huge center anchor still lies in its place.
The video covers sort of what it's like as you come over the bow of the ship, and so there's narration of the different parts of the wreck. Mostly focusing on the cultural narrative of what was happening there, like the crow's nest that has collapsed. And you see some of the decay and it's discussed about how it has changed over just the last 30 years that we've been going back to the wreck. The debris field has not been completely explored, so there are a lot of little things out there. It's a 5 by 5 kilometer debris field of personal effects and the like. So from a cultural perspective, there are still things to be discovered. And then the big thing that we're focusing on is the marine biology. So this has become an artificial reef with corals and shrimps and squat lobsters and things like that. How that develops over time is unknown, and there are millions of wrecks and tens of thousands from World War I and World War II. And what are those doing to the environment? How are they seeding new corals? And how are they changing things down there? There's going to be a lot of questions around that.
And we can see more rusticles draped over those railings.
People cannot get enough Titanic. We used to post videos of other shipwrecks or six-gilled sharks or things like that, and we'd be really happy if we got 10,000 views. And with the Titanic, we have one that has 4 million views. So you get a lot of enthusiasm, and people see it, and it's just a different feel.
And does that kind of like give some energy into the project again? Give a little bit of rejuvenation into you guys for continuing to do this kind of thing?
Well, it certainly does. Our biggest challenge is people don't know you can go to the Titanic. So that's sort of, half the time I'll say it and they'll go, wait, go to the Titanic? I didn't know that was possible. So that enthusiasm and building it out beyond those who go with us, but those who follow what we do and who then it inspires, hopefully, kids to say, hey, I want to study marine biology. This is pretty cool.
There is a Newfoundland connection to the work. I think you guys leave from Conception Bay, isn't that right?
Yes.
And also, you use some technology from here.
Yes, so we have a lot of ties to Newfoundland. We have our subsea camera that takes this 4K imagery that we used. We've been working with eDNA Tech, a local firm that is analyzing water samples to see all the biology that was in those samples. And then all the local vendors from Horizon Maritime, A. Harvey, DF Barnes, just a bunch of companies. And so it's really been great to have that connection. So we're coming into the sub. This is the only toilet available on a deep diving submersible.
I guess everybody must ask you about the price, the $250,000 for the citizen scientist part of it. How do you decide on that? Like, where does that come from? Was that pulled out of somewhere? Or?
Well, it started when we first dove in 2021. It was $105,129. And that was the inflation-adjusted price of a first-class ticket on the Titanic. So that it had some basis in something. But our costs last year were huge, from everything from the cost of fuel. A lot of things have changed. And then I looked at what people were paying to go to space, and I thought for 8 minutes on a spacecraft and 3 minutes of weightlessness, people were paying millions of dollars, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. And and also we were losing money, and that led to a price increase. It's a different kind of traveler. It's not the person who's looking for the fancy Four Seasons. It's they're in there working.
Happy 58th anniversary to Kevin and Lenora Harding. Happy 50th anniversary to Jerry and Mary Kennedy from Buckins. Lots of love from your family. Happy 59th anniversary to Ray and Betty Tucker from St. John's. Ray also celebrating his birthday on Monday. Max and Joan Snook of Grand Bank celebrated their 58th anniversary on the 6th. Happy anniversary to Hugh and Teresa Gillis, married 68 years today. Winston and Stella Andrews were married 59 years this past Tuesday. Happy 58th anniversary to Herbert and Phyllis House, who celebrated last Sunday. Happy 50th to Ivor and Elaine Han, celebrating yesterday. Mary, Rachel, and Hubert Diamond celebrated their 53rd anniversary. That was on Monday. Happy 59th anniversary to Ruth and Carl Brown, celebrating today. Happy 50th to Nancy and Ivan Chambers. They celebrated yesterday. Happy anniversary to Dick and Linda Ryle of Bryant's Cove, celebrating 54 years. Happy 55th anniversary to Sharon and Jack Grandy of Grand Bank. Happy 54th anniversary to Edith and Pleeman Freak of Wabush, celebrating on February the 8th. Happy 60th to Bob and Minnie Lane of Catalina. They celebrated on the 6th. Happy 67th to Chancey and Nellie Butt of Swift Current. Happy 53rd anniversary to Walter and Teresa King of Lamoline. Happy 55th anniversary on the 9th to Harry and Anita Critch of Charlottetown, Bonavista Bay. Happy anniversary to Walter and Faye Wells, who are celebrating their 57th wedding anniversary on the 12th. Happy anniversary to Roy and Violet LaFosse, who are celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. Happy 58th to Austin and Lorraine Lowe of St. John's. That's on the 13th. Happy 50th to Mary and Roy Everly of Mount Pearl, celebrating today. On to our birthdays now. Dorothy Michelin turns 103 years old on the 13th. She's a longtime resident of Happy Valley Goose Bay. Happy 94th to Barbara Orm from Hare Bay, currently in Badger's Key. Happy 97th to Irene Chambers from Labrador City. She celebrated on the 9th. Happy 90th to Alvina Easton of Clarenville on Valentine's Day. Happy 91st to Robert Party, who celebrated on the 2nd. Love and birthday greetings to Richard Louvel. He celebrated on Tuesday the 7th. Happy 97th to Winifred Strong, who is celebrating on the 7th as well, formerly of Jackson's Cove, now living at the Springdale Retirement Center. Happy birthday to Rose Whiteway of Little Burnt Bay, celebrating her 93rd on the 12th. Happy 98th birthday to Madonna Ryan of Gander. Peggy Jacobs, she's on the left, skiing on her 92nd birthday at Blow Me Down Ski Club on February 8th. She celebrated. Happy 94th birthday to John Moore, who resides at his home in Mount Pearl, seen here visiting the Newfoundland Chocolate Company fountain in the Avalon Mall. His birthday was on the 10th, and Doreen Cuff McPherson will be 90 on the 12th. Greetings come from her 11 surviving children, 30 grandchildren, and 48 great-grandchildren, and all of your family and friends. Wishing Jessie Osmond of Birchie Bay a happy 91st birthday on the 11th. Geraldine Whalen Hocko, formerly of Chapels Cove, now in St. John's, will be 91 on the 12th, and she still enjoys a game of cards, I'm told. Happy 95th birthday to George Kendall of Corner Brook. Happy 97th to Elsnie Brace, the eldest of the Duke clans from Country Road in Bay Roberts.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
And staying with our birthdays, there's Elsnie Brace with some special visitors at her front door today after not getting many cards for Christmas. Her son put out a public call on Twitter sharing his mom's mailing address for her birthday. She received over 100 cards from all over, and including that grade 3 class that you see right there from down the road at St. Andrew's School, who hand-delivered those cards with a song. How sweet.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, that's really sweet indeed.
Definitely.
Perfect. All right, we are getting into the long-term forecast now. What's ahead, Ashley?
Well, the rest of the weekend, we're actually going to see some sunshine, so we're going to enjoy some of the snow that fell or that will fall tonight and into tomorrow. Let's take a look at the forecast as we head through the evening hours on Saturday. It does look like we'll see a little bit more accumulation through the afternoon on Saturday, but that should end through the overnight, and then we'll likely see some sunshine for the first part of the day at least for a good chunk of the island. It does look like the west coast We'll see those clouds continue, especially along the south coast of the island, and then up across Labrador as well. You'll see some snow actually that will move into the morning hours, and then eventually into the afternoon on Sunday again. We'll see some flurries develop, or some light snow, I should say, develop for the west coast, and then even eastern Newfoundland. We'll see some of that snow as well through the day. Temperatures will be back below zero after a little bit of a warm up tomorrow for the east, but back down below zero, -2 to -5. Northern Peninsula a bit cooler, and then even more so up across Labrador into the minus teens through the day on Sunday. Only about -9 will be the story for Happy Valley, Goose Bay. But as we head into the evening hours and into Monday, it looks like a pretty nice start to your day, and should continue like that as well. We may see some clouds lingering, though, along the south coast and eastern areas of the island, but overall we're sitting under a nice big ridge of high pressure. The temperatures are going to stay cool again. Around -3 to about -11 across the island, and then temperatures for Labrador will be into the minus teens again, maybe a few flurries towards the coast, but overall we will see lots of sunshine. Temperatures for Lab West will sit around -20. Now the long range forecast, it does look like we'll see a system on Tuesday. At this point there's a lot to figure out. We may see some mixing for the Avalon, but we could also see some pretty significant snowfall with that one as well. So you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on the forecast as we head through the next couple of days and things become a bit more clear as well. But overall, temperatures should be below zero. By the time we get into Wednesday, though, temperatures will be hovering right around there. And again, we'll see some snow in the mix for the east. For central Newfoundland, that snow, the story for Tuesday. Wednesday should see some clearing, hovering around -2, and those overnight lows, really not a whole lot of movement in the temperatures both Tuesday and Wednesday. But for western Newfoundland, a little bit of a break, a nice break will be on Monday after what you've seen lots of snow on the west coast, definitely after a pretty bleak January. But Tuesday and Wednesday looks like those flurries will return as well, with those temperatures in the minus single digits. Nice stretch of weather for eastern Labrador. Lots of sunshine Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Some flurries will return and your temperatures will bump up a little bit. And then for western Labrador, you're looking at a similar warm up on Wednesday, and also the chance of some flurries in the mix as well. This shot, this is Burgeo, the Sandbank sunset. Julie sends some lovely shots to us all the time, and this one is no different. Thank you for that. If you have any weather photos, send them to Facebook, Twitter, or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Isn't that a beautiful shot? Love the sun rays over the water.
Oh, yes.
So nice.
I love sunset photos, which I say all the time.
They're the best.
They really are.
Well, that is our show for this evening. Happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Good night.